Hi, by the way, my name is Paint with Josh. Nice to see you again. You're looking fan-fabulous. We're gonna come in here and tell you everything we've done to our canvas so far. We're gonna be doing a Cape Disappointment landscape or seascape commission scene for Schlitzlund. I can't remember how she pronounces her screen name, but we'll figure it out by the time she gets there, right? So we have our 22-inch by 28-inch canvas, and we've taken it and blacked out this entire bottom section. That way we can retain all those deep, dark shadows, right? And we have our white area on the top. Now, on this bottom section, we added a lot of our Bob Ross liquid clear, right, to cover the whole thing. And then we turned the camera on and we came up here in front of you guys. So, first things first, we have to make the top part of our canvas nice and wet. As you can see, it's dry right now. So, move this guy out of the way over here. And then, let's see what we're gonna do, you guys. We're gonna take our liquid white. We just need a little touch of this stuff. We don't need to have a whole lot of it, that's for sure. Too much is too much. We don't need to have too much. So let's get out here. We're gonna dab into this stuff just a little bit. Remember, we don't have an entire canvas to fill, so we don't wanna have too much of it on our brush. It'll be way too thick up there. What we're gonna do is spread it out across the white area of our canvas, not really trying to get into this area only. It's about the only place that we wanna save. Every other place we are going to wash over with a little bit of this liquid white, and as you can see, the more we wash over it, the harder it becomes to see, right? We don't want to do the whole thing. We'll leave a little bit of black out there. We're gonna leave a little bit of white against the edge over on this side, mainly keeping it dark in the center, okay? Up here, we're gonna, again, allow that kind of color, our liquid white, to just float over our little mountains, because we're gonna have our trees that kind of float on the top of that. And again, there's a lot of rocks out here that we're gonna be working on today. So we don't need to have too much of our white spill over onto the top. Now, the bottom is another story. Is our purchaser here today? Schlinst, or which? Let me know if you're here, if you got this painting already, right? I never remember how to pronounce Schlinst. See, exactly, Schlinst, right? She sent me this gorgeous photo of Cape Disappointment and said, I would like you to do this. Already pre-dotted, so none of you guys can grab this one. It's already gone, it already has a new home. And she literally said, and she sent me multiple reference photos, the waves out there can be this big, or they can be this big, and literally almost cover this entire thing. And I was like, do I want to do more waves, or do I want to focus more on the rocks, right? And so, since we've been doing a lot of crashing waves and stuff, we're gonna do slightly smaller waves, a little bit bigger in this one area, because this piece is one, and then this is another projection right in here. You just can't see it yet. Haven't painted that. But as far as our water, guys, I'm debating whether or not to just go liquid white over it, and then we can very lightly brighten it up. God, it already looks like freaking water, man. I know I'm gonna do it down here in my beachy area, so we're gonna have some sand and all sorts of stuff that wasn't in our reference photo. But we're gonna make it look more like a gorgeous Paint with Josh painting. All right, plop it in down here, plop it in over here. We don't need to go crazy. Whatever amount of white that we have over here, we'll be able to save, right? Already looking like a beach. Tell me it doesn't. Get back in here and push it a little harder, extending that water back a little bit further. And this will be our reflective sky area, which is just gonna look fantastic. Holy shaving cream, you guys. Okay, we don't wanna put on too much. And instead, we're gonna switch to our blue back here. I don't want them to be the exact same, okay? Now, we're gonna come into our ultramarine blue for Schlinst out there. I'm pretty sure I'm saying that correct. And we're gonna get a little of our ultramarine blue onto the brush so it's nice and evenly loaded. And let's just say, well, it looks like all of our light is coming in from this way, so we can either go blue here and blue and black on this side, or go darker blue here, and by the time that we blend it all out across our little canvas, it will become a lighter version of blue, because remember, the canvas is wet. We're mixing in with that entire color out there. All that white paint is going to try to take this paint and make it much lighter, right? So if you start out with a real heavy dark blue, by the time you end up blending it all away, you get this lighter color blue out there on the Washington Coast Cape Disappointment, you guys. Oh, it's gorgeous. The more we come back in here and mix, right, the more we'll take that blue, mix it down towards our little rocky area. Remember, try not to get too much of it into our rocks, because we got some trees sitting on there, and I really want to focus on those rocks. But look at that sky. nice and bright on this side, all the light coming in, right? It's almost overly exposed bright up on that side. Let's put a little bit more blue. Little touch. We'll work it back and forth. Oh, it's gorgeous, right? Now, if both of my blue colors are looking exactly the same, then I want to change that. I don't want them to be perfect, right? So let's take a little bit of our black. And just like on the Oregon coast, you can get some darkness out there on the Washington coast, right? Now, the more paint that I have on my brush, the more it's going to extend down into the painting, right? So what if we dab off our brush so there's not so much paint there? Then we can very lightly mix that guy. Mix it, mix it, mix it. We'll have a whole area of clouds that we can bounce off of that darkness as well. There, right? Just a little bit of change in the light. Now, we're gonna put this big old brush down. We're gonna grab one of our fan brushes out, get one of those guys and load it full of color. And then we're literally just gonna smoosh it right onto our canvas. You guys are gonna check in, tell me where you're watching from. I'll come back here and take a look-see. Old Cape Disappointment out there. So where are you guys from? I'll give you some shout outs. Where are we watching from in the world? Let's see, Chicago, Mississippi, Virginia, Florida, Indiana, Cali, New York, Alabama, Canada, Georgia, Pennsylvania, South Texas, Richmond, Corpus Christi, Pennsylvania, Lake Placid, Philly, the UK, Tennessee, West Virginia, Ohio, UK, Long Island, Virginia. Your mom's bed, you're there? Give her a kiss for me, man. I miss mom. So give her a hug for me over there. Okay, we're gonna come out here. It's funny, by the way. Grab up a little bit of our white paint, start mushing it on to the deal. Bang, bing, boom, smush it down, right? Almost gonna lose our whole little lighthouse out there. Now, because we have this darker color underneath already on our canvas, we can start to slowly mix very lightly this white color. The less we touch it, the more it's going to hang around and be bright out there, right? The more we mix it away, the more it will blend in with the sky, revealing whatever you want to reveal, right? It's all up to you guys every time. Doesn't even need to go all the way down to our rocks because we're gonna have some trees projecting out there. That lighthouse about lost in its cloud out there. Guys, it's cool looking. Okay, now let's throw in some of our dark color up there, and then we're really gonna start to work these rocks, I'm telling ya. We're gonna get a little bit of our black, little crimson, little blue. We're gonna mix those three guys together, right down here, mixing it up into this intensely dark color that we like to call Paint with Josh Black. It's a very deep dark color, and it stands out against and contrasts against all that brightness up there in our sky. So let's make a good sized pile of it. Then we're gonna grab the old Paint with Josh fan brush, okay? The Paint with Josh fan brush works for oils and acrylics and watercolors, and it's a very fine brush. Look at that. The more we spin it, right, we'll put it up here, you can almost make it disappear. It's like a liner brush. It gets so thin, right? As long as you have enough paint holding it together. Now, let's come in here. We've got a lot of trees and such that end up right down in there. So we're gonna kind of tap in a little bit taller, a little bit deeper, dark. We're trying to fill up this area with a bit of trees. Now, we don't want to put everything exactly the same, right? We want to leave a little bit of space underneath just so we can have that distance, right? As we come back in here and we swipe on them, each swipe is making them brighter and brighter and brighter and brighter and brighter, pushing them further and further and further away, okay? We're gonna come in here, we're gonna mix up the bottom of that area, just like that, so I can see my black gessoed area again. There, just enough. Told you, we didn't want to put too many things over all this stuff. It's gonna be hard to keep these rocks in play, right? Now, we've got a few more trees that trail up the side of this painting. Maybe we'll make one of them just a little bit more noticeable that it is a big old monster pine tree out there behind these rocks, living with all of its other little friends who are just a little harder to see, that's all. That's their only problem. They're just a little harder to see versus this guy, right? Again, we don't need too much paint back here. We don't need too many details. If we're trying to make this look like faraway forest and you paint every single guy as a whole tree, it's not gonna look very far away. It's gonna look like you spent a lot of time up there doing all that, right? So tap them in, and then we're gonna go back. Come in here, make them soft, so that means go over them enough times to fill them in at the bottom, right? We're not doing anything else except going over it, numerous times, okay? Now again, we don't want the paint to grow too far, so I'm just going to grab it. Instead of doing our tappy motion, which would bring all that color down into my dark area, I want to try to retain some darkness down in here. So we're just going to let it grow like this. Boom, 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 boom. Then I can decide where my rocks come back in and live, right? If I wanted to. Come back that same dark color. Now that we've got that mist in there, And this guy, he's got a good old mountainous deal coming down here. See that mist we're keeping in between the two? Just that very small amount. Everything else gets covered up and blacked out, right? So it again pushes those trees into the distance. Come up here, we're gonna come down. We're gonna start over here too. Let's make this guy a little bit darker. Down there, over there, down to the bottom, pull it back, right? We don't wanna have too much paint up here because it's gonna get too dark, right? It's gonna be too hard to put our stuff on if we have too much paint. So come down this way, keeping that little bit of separation in between our trees and our rocks right here, right? It's gonna help look like the trees are a little bit further away. This one comes down in front. This one also comes down in front. And we can hit them at different areas. We can even drag one way down here and fill it up, right? We don't need to paint the entire section of rocks, especially not just with our little fan brush. Okay, so let's get out here. We're gonna soften this guy down. The more that we soften it, the easier it's gonna be to put our next layer on, right? Sitting out there, chilling, okay? We're gonna pull it down this way, dragging it downward, 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 just softening the paint. Okay, maybe on this guy, he starts having some crazy downward motion over here anyway. So all we're doing is just dragging the paint that's there down until it becomes a softer level. And instantly we have our rocks back in front of our little forest back there. Now, not every tree is back behind the forest. Maybe we got a little guy right here popping out. Comes down, he's like literally sat on these rocks. Hey, he's right there. A little bit in front, and the only reason that we can see that he is in front is because his butt is sitting down a little bit lower than all the rest of those other trees back there, right? They're the same color. It's all about the amount of thickness in the paint. You get a little one to sit a little closer because it's darker right in front of that misty area. Man, this one's looking cool so far, you guys. Okay, now we're gonna take our Paint with Josh 1-inch brush, and we're going to attempt to put a little bit of grass up on the top of those hills out there, okay? There's a lot to do in this painting. A little bit of our liquid white, come down into our grassy color, so a little bit of my sap green, a little of my yellow ochre for this scene versus the brighter green color. I wanna go like a darker yellow there, okay? Now, let's say just literally anywhere you could have little things kind of rolling down, going over this side, dropping off here, coming over the edge, right? Wherever we want them to be. And we're just tapping at that with a little bit lighter color, and it's rolling down, it's coming down this way, we're tapping in this direction, and it rolls down that side too, it's filling up different places. Doesn't all have to be exactly the same, and it's kind of hanging down over that darker section, trying to reach, trying to grow down there, you guys, okay? Let's mix up a little bit more of our darkness, and in fact, let's pop in one more little bit. All these little differences, they're very far away. We're not going to see every detail, right? We can go back underneath those guys as well, and throw in a little bit of our brown. Start having some rocks that project up where they can't, that grass just can't reach everywhere, right? There, over here, down there. Some of that brown down in the bottom. And we'll have our little rocks, right? We get to decide how far that brown creeps up, how far our grass wants to come down. You know what I mean? It's all up to us every time. Each time that you're going to do it, you get to try it a little differently and schlitzed. What do you guys think of this one so far? I'm liking it. We're just staying up into this darker area. We've got our two brown colors mixed together, pulling them back like that, creating a little bit of land out there. That's all we're really doing. Right? Now, as we're down here, we're going to want to switch to a different brush because we need to load up this back section anyway back here with our dark bluish blackish water, right? So we're gonna take our dark blue, it's that ultramarine blue, a little bit of our black paint, and this is where we can come up if you come down into your horizon, go back and launch a little bit of that blue back up there, right? Gorgeous, gorgeous, gorgeous. Fill in this area right here. Down, down, down. We don't even need to have the blue and black go everywhere. I don't really want it to come too far in beyond that, okay? Get up here. There we go. Very lightly. There we go, Josh. Make a straight line. There. Now, if I have any area that's gone over the top, I can come in with my sky brush, and then we'll really be able to lighten that area as well. In our reference photo, there's a bit of further away mountains that look like they're further off in the distance. But if we painted them, they're gonna be so indistinct and hard to see anyway that it really doesn't make sense that we would paint them, right? So a little bit of our color out there, flatten off our horizon again, and then we're gonna come in with our palette tool, okay? We'll get back in here and start throwing in some water. So we'll take and scrape a little bit of our titanium white. We're gonna drop down. Remember, we're already up here. We don't have to paint 10 miles worth of ocean. We're already in our mid-ground by the time that we get there, okay? So all we gotta do is start scraping some stuff back and forth, imagining it's gonna hit against this rock, right? So we're gonna come out here, scrape down a little bit, little bit, little bit. Very, very, very light downward angle, and you can only tell because the horizon is flat. This one's higher up, that one's lower down. The more that you scrape back here, the more white that we deposit back here, the closer it makes it, right? So if you want it to be very far away, you're gonna scrape it until that white either dissipates or leave enough of a dark area towards the back where it doesn't look like our white is all the way at the very back, right? That's all we really need to focus on. You would never see the waves so brightly at the very edge of the horizon, right? Now, as we start coming in with these guys, we get to make a choice, right? This is gonna smash up against that rock and create as much wave or as little amount of wave as we want. Maybe it skips that guy and it comes into the next area, which would be lower down here, right? Scrape that guy, we're gonna rock it back, and back, and back. Whole nother little line. Now, what's gonna happen if both of these lines of white paint end up touching each other? What's it gonna look like? It's gonna look like one big old long section of wave versus some further away water and some closer water, right? Like, if you don't leave a little separation in there, just a little section, a little bit, a little thing in between that shows the difference, right, from the front to the back, then you're gonna get lost, okay? I'm telling you now. Now, let's come out here. Just because I have this gold paint, right, we're gonna take a little bit of this gold from Master's Touch, mix it in with a small amount of our dark sienna brown. Oh, that's gorgeous. Literal gold flakes, gold speckles in this painting out here. Because all of our light is on this side, I want to pop on some of my brighter color out here, leaving some of the darker color. Remember, that one's the furthest away, so he doesn't need to be enormously bright. There's actually a really funky little projection in the reference photo right there. So let's put that guy in. And then come back over here, fill this guy out. There we go. A little bit of that darkness, right? And there is, in the reference photo, there's a weird projection right there. Come out like that, come over here, and again, overdo it on these guys. Over mix it. Almost so much that we can't even tell what's going on. We just see there's a couple little differences in the color back there, right? Now, let's take our next little rocky item, which comes in from here, and that's the guy right there, right? So we're gonna take a little bit more of that gold, just because I love it, a little bit of my dark sienna brown, we're gonna mix them together. The brightness depends on how much brown you add. If you add a lot of brown, you're gonna have a serious dark highlight. If you add a lot of gold, it's gonna be really bright. This little rocky little deal down in there. It's just so gorgeous, I don't wanna stop. It just ends up looking so stinking pretty. Come down there, sliding it down, launching it in. Maybe there's a bit of rock along the top, getting hit somewhere. There's some shadows in between, because not every place is gonna be a connection. Right? You're gonna have some areas in between that are not touched. So this one's getting a little brighter now, a little bit more noticeable as we're getting closer to us. And if you don't like the brightness, you just go over it a bit more and it'll mix in with the darker color underneath. Looking really cool, guys. I like that. I'm liking it. Now, up into this little ridge up here, we're gonna make a bright spot. Right on this little ridge. It kind of comes down like this. Right? So we're gonna take some of that brightness. Wiggle down, wiggle down. Down into there, right? That is literally about the amount that we can see in the reference photos, about that much brightness, honestly. And then it disappears into this black shadowy area where we're gonna have a new section of rock, okay? So we're gonna get this guy pretty close, leaving a little separation in between, because we know they're all rocks out there. And remember, these guys are mid-ground, they're not our focal point that's gonna be down here, so we don't wanna do too many things to them, okay? We also need to go back, because we're ADHD, go back in, mix up a little bit more of our plaque, and get way the heck out here again, and start throwing the little trees and bushes and stuff that hide that lighthouse from view. Now, we're gonna go back over there, and come in one little bit, little tiny bit. We're gonna make a small little tree, Out there on the front, our little guy, popping in. He's very little. He doesn't even need so many branches or so many anythings. He's just literally sat out there on the top, chilling, okay? Come back with our little grassy bit. Seat him into the edge right there. And then we can literally do whatever you want. Did you want to have another one? Do you want to have something closer? Because this is artistic light. So we're going to leave the lighthouse back there, but right here, we're going to make a bigger one just to help you look through it. You gotta see through the darkness to the lighthouse, right? A little bigger, a little closer to us, right? That's the main goal. Making him big enough and close enough that he looks a little bigger, a little closer than that guy, but not as big as this guy. He's a little bit further away, right? Get down in here, tap around the edge, tap it down, shrinking it back up the side, right? These little cool little things. Guys, that's wicked neat. I love it. In fact, if we're gonna get crazy, there is a little bit of rock that comes down this way, up in from that grass, bang, just like that. So I'm gonna put a little bit of darkness in there. I'll take a little bit of my highlight color again. Don't wanna have too much, don't need it to be too bright, but I love the gold in here, especially, oh yeah, right there. I just show it going a different direction, and then we cut in front of it from a new direction, down to the edge. I like this stuff out here too. There, a couple little spots of bright. Have too many. Too many is going to make it too close, right? Too close never looks cool, guys. I'm telling you. I'm just telling you from my experience, man. Nice. Okay, very cool. Now remember, this guy, we said, just falls straight into this little, like a impression or something that's in there. So we leave him out like that, letting it get light on the top, and then darker as we go down into our guy. And then we'll pop in our newest one, which is going to be a much brighter color. Again, changing, getting closer, leaving a little cave back in here. And we can figure it out as we go, right? Take a little bit more of our titanium white. And again, we're going to drop down to this level now. Skirting along. Right? This guy I'm going to bring way up here, too. Way up like that, for a reason, okay? I want to have these ones looking smaller and further away. So they're just going to be kind of like our guys above. Like that. The closer that they get to us, the bigger they're going to get, right? So we'll take our liquid white and our titanium white. We're going to come out here and schlitz. What are you guys thinking so far? We can literally even start doing this, pushing up against it like that, right? If you wanted to, you could push it against that way. You could smack it this way. So we have these bigger things that are happening over here, making it a bigger splotch, almost covering up our spot in the background, because as they get closer to us, you would imagine they would get a little bit larger as well, right? So as we come out here with our big old 1/8 brush, we can take these little guys and very lightly slide them out this way. Slide it, slide it, slide it, schlintzed. Do you like it so far? What are you thinking? Oh man, that's legit. Oof, love this guy. What's up with the thing on the hill next to the, between the two trees? What are you talking about, Mackie? Yes, beautiful. Okay, perfect. Liking it, liking it. We're gonna get out here. We're gonna mix these guys up a bit more into a little cloud. Very small, lots of liquid white in there, so they're gonna wanna grow pretty large. Right there. Get out there like that. Start making them a little bit harder to tell what's going on. And then if we came in here, way out in front, getting lower and lower and lower, we can take this guy and sneak him back. And this becomes all of our foamy, tumultuous stuff that's riding underneath our waves. It's gorgeous. Yeah, guys, look at it. Oh, man. Right, the more that we add in there, especially with no undercolor, it's just all white. Right, so we're trying to get that white as bright as possible by not having any under bits to it. And the more that you put out there, the brighter it gets. The more details we would be able to see, the more things, the more stuff. Right? The further away we get, the less stuff we would be able to see out there. Almost right up underneath our waves. Oh, they're gorgeous, guys. Okay, let's do one more little line of those guys, though, back in the distance. A little smaller, little bit up there. A little bit more of my liquid white, a little bit more of my titanium white, and then up into here. Right? There's a lot of crash in these guys. There's a big section of rock that comes out there and just gets whacked. So we're gonna take this guy over here, gonna brush him out, softer, up into the rock. Oh, there, perfection. Woo! She's crashing out there, guys. You want to see it happen out here too? Just smaller, a little smaller, right there. Boom! Against the rocks. Go back very, very lightly. Bang! Those things happening. They're coming in. They're rolling. They're crashing everywhere, you guys. Little bits. Maybe there's some up onto this guy. Who knows, right? They don't have to be everywhere. They don't have to be. And when they are everywhere, it always looks a little bit ridiculous, right? So, drag that guy out into his little cavey area. Maybe we can have our next set. Ooh, guys, what? Yeah, I wonder if there is a cave back in there that would just fill back, right? Then we can pop in a new little section of rock down a bit further, which would seat it into the front. If we came off of this guy, bang, right? Popped it out, maybe came up. Ooh. Ooh, look at it, look at it, look at it, right? You're trapping that stuff back in here. Then this guy is gonna have much brighter of a highlight, which is gonna stand out away from our other guy. Okay, we'll take our big old brush. Might have some reflection of this down into our sand, if we have sand. Have a little bit of that darkness down in there. And we'll add our brown, we'll sprinkle on some little flickeroos. We literally put like a black, you know, like a rock border around this whole thing. It would be like we're inside of a cave looking out. Looking out, man! Which would be cool. Just in my book, in my opinion, that would be neat. A little bit more of my liquid white just to clean up the front line. So the front line's very crisp. Want it to be all crispy. The crispiness. Boom. Out there. So Schlinst, how do you and your husband like this one? It's coming out amazing if you ask me, just if you're asking me. We're gonna highlight this other section of rock back here. But what are you thinking so far? I'm liking it. Oh man, it's gorgeous. Fan-schmastic. We got that whole bit of wet sand back in here. That's gonna be cool. That is gonna be cool. We can extend it out too. Right, do the cave. I'm gonna do a cave here soon. So if you like that idea, then we're gonna do that. But this one, we're gonna leave it. Love it, love it. Perfect. Thank you, guys. I appreciate you. Okay, so let's imagine even if the water came out even lower down, we could extend this further to reach this point, but then our whole line has to change and move forward like a whole inch, right? So all depends on what we do each time. Remember, this is just the backwater area. We haven't done our sandy bit and then that retraction that comes out further just yet. Man, it's coming out so cool. Okay, let's take a little bit of our titanium white, a little bit of our two brown colors. Man, we want to stay away from that gold. Whenever you introduce the white into the gold, it makes it just almost disappear. That's a cool color right there, though. See that right there? We'll scrape up that bit. We can come off of this guy in literally any direction that you want. That's a nice rocky color right there. Dropping it down. Because this one, again, is a little closer. It's a little bit more bright in its color. It should stand out away from those other guys. Maybe it's further into the shadows, just gonna float down across all that darkness that's already there, right? Dragging it down one way. Maybe we start changing up our angle and coming down under that one from a different way, right? Because they don't all have to be the same. Whoever said that was fibbing on you, man. They do not have to look similar. They don't have to be the same brightness. They don't have to be pulled in the same direction. Nothing out there has to be anything. We get to decide what it gets to be. That's our decision. What does it get to look like? Well, in one of them, it gets to be a little brighter. One of them, it gets to be a little bit more gold. Maybe it's catching more light out there. Maybe we roll down, maybe we swing down off of this guy now, right? Because not everything is gonna just be perfect. You're gonna have different weird little things happening. That's so cool. Got a little cave projection out there. Came out a little further. Scrape that up because it's a bit too bright. Pull it back this way. Again, if it's ever too bright, scrape it off, redeposit it down in a different direction. Right? Growing down whatever which way it wants. It could literally come all the way out onto our sand if we wanted it to. Bring it down. I could literally not cover this back area and it could look like a hole that's going around or wrapping around. If you had some mist backing behind there. It's literally, what do you feel like doing when you go to do yours? How does it look? Down, 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 down. these crazy little things. Doesn't that look amazing? Did you think, just by going the other direction, that it would look like that, right? Am I being for real? Like, honestly, is it that easy, Josh? Sometimes it is, guys. Sometimes it is. Sometimes it is. Now that I love this color so much, right? Let me come back over this guy. There we go. Just kind of brighten it up. Drop it down a little bit. Little indication that there's a bit of rock. Leaning over that side. And then it honestly, in the reference photo, goes into nothing. It disappears. I like that lighter color of my rocks. So I'm kind of changing some of these other really bright ones. Go just a little bit more there. Right? Differences, guys, differences. You're gonna notice those differences and be like, ooh, I see that. Okay, I see. Now this one, we're gonna have to fill up this spot right here, right? Like the cave looks cool, but I mean, it still is a cave, but we're gonna do it actually like the photo, filling in that area, right? So you can still see that it's going back somewhere, but it just looked a little funky with that color out there like that. Again, we're not even trying to cover every spot of anything with anything else, right? So you still got that little cave back in there, little cove. It's happening back. What is happening back there? The more stuff we put down here, right? Getting lower and lower and lower towards us, the more close it's gonna look to us, right? And it helps if you have a bit of that darker color down first and then do your rocks versus doing it the other way, but you can do them both ways. Honestly, it doesn't matter. Now, let's light up our whole sandy area. We got that cove back there. Schlitz, do you guys love it? Let me know now before we get too far ahead. Because I think, even if you didn't like it, I think I know somebody who would like it. I think they're probably watching. Very cool, dude. We'll throw on some splash onto those little sprays. That is neat. Little misty lighthouse. The lighthouse is further away than all the rest of the stuff, which is why I left it kind of misty out there. So you gotta look for it. You guys like it? You like it? Thank you. Thank you. Man, those rocks are just coming closer to us, you guys. Looks like a beach off Twilight. That's cool. Beautiful, gorgeous. Boom, boom, boom. Where's Schlintz? The one person I'm looking to comment isn't commenting. Schlintz, this is... She's pretty. I agree. I like this one. Love it. Okay, there we go. That's what I was looking for. All right, now, let's take our liquid white and titanium white mix. Yeah, we'll do this part first. We're going to come in here. There's really only one way, guys, like I always say, to mess this part up. And people go, oh, well, I bet you I could do it. Well, yeah, anybody could. There's only one way to mess it up, right? Meaning you can put on as much as you want, or as little as you want, or whatever you want to do. But as long as you don't touch this light color to that light color, then we're not going to lose our wave, right? If these two colors touch, we will not be able to decide or decipher or be able to tell what is what out there. We just won't know. We're not going to get it, right? We won't understand because we've lost that darkness, that separation back in there, right? So let's take our big old 2-inch brush. We're going to wipe off the excess. We're going to come in here. We're going to grab it. We're going to pull down, pull down, pull down. Now remember, there's nothing on the canvas except for the liquid white and the black canvas, right? There is no wet black paint, nothing. All the stuff that's there is clear. We got our dark black shadows underneath, right? So the more white that we put on there, the less of that black we're gonna be able to see, okay? I just want you to tell me, does this look like wet, sandy beach? Just yes or no in the comments. Tell me now, if you don't think it looks like wet sand, tell me what you think it looks like. I have to do that for a video because I'll pull a video from this to make some sand, right? Looks like flat earth, looks like a waterfall, looks like the edge of a cliff. We get that all the time. So in fact, it may look like a waterfall now, but if you take all these little streaky poos, all the vertical ones, and you turn them into horizontal streaky poos, and you pull it away from your wave, you can get as close as you can get without touching, up there, and then turn all those little verticalities into horizontalities, right? You see wet sandy beach now? Do you see? Do you see the wet, shiny area where that water's come in, dropped, and then retracted back? Do you see? What we're gonna do now is take a little bit of our 2 brown colors onto our brush, and we're gonna start working in our brown sand from back here. Now, the more brown that we interact with this white, the more brown it's going to go, right? The more that we let that brown extend out towards that whiter section, the less shiny, watery beach we're gonna have, and the more dry land that we're gonna have, right? So you get to determine on your painting how far you want this guy to go out, right? Or how close that you want to keep it. All up to you. Every time you go to do it, you can get back to this exact same moment and go, you know what? I did that much sand last time, let's do less, or let's do more, or let's do whatever. It's up to you. You get to decide, okay? You are in control of how dark, how far away that sand or our land gets from this back corner back here where we laid it on, and how far it extends outward, right? Oh, that's fabulous. You know what we're trying to do? It's just sort of match this angle right here, just a little bit, right? That's all we're trying to do. That way it's not too big, it's not too dang small. Okay, and that'll leave us a lot of room to have our sandy specks over here. You guys, it's gonna be wicked cool. So let's take our liquid white again, come back over here into our titanium white pile, just like that, okay? So we have our liquid white and our titanium white mixing together in a 90 to 10 mixture. 90% liquid white, 10% titanium white. Okay, so it's very runny, very runny. And we're gonna come out here, we're gonna start, let's just say, we can always blend it away if we don't like it. We'll start out there, we're gonna push real hard because we only have a very small amount of paint on the actual blade, right? So if there's only a very small amount, you gotta push harder and harder and harder in order to get it to deposit off of the blade and stick to the canvas, right? And if you do it right at the edge of your sand and your wet, shiny area, then doesn't this look a whole lot more like wet, sandy beach by the time that you get done, right? Again, however you want it to look, you want it to get down further over here, add more, expand, right? Do it, man. Now, looks very clean as the reflection of a sky like that. And then you're in control, again, of how many little bits do you want it to schling back, right? It's got to be pulling something back. It can't just be I mean, it could be perfect. So how many little imperfections do you want in your sandy area? And I've found, okay, that the more that you have out here, the less you're going to like it, okay? The less disturbances that you have in that pure gorgeousness of the reflection, the more you're going to, of course you have to have a few, but you don't have to have a billion, okay? Back up in there, maybe we can get it to all the way, oh, there it is, all the way up against that little guy. Now, very, very, very lightly with a dry fan brush, we're going to come across those things very horizontally, right? Our angle is down like this so we can pull flat across, very lightly, dragging over the majority of them, and that will make them look like they're just a little bit, just drop back a little bit more. Woo! Okay, you guys got to start coming up with a title for this painting, and then Schlitz gets to pick that title out of all of your suggestions, or come up with her own title. Maybe her and her husband have been watching this the whole time and going, you know what? I want to call it this. And he's like, nah, let's call it this. And she's like, do you want to sleep in the bed tonight? We're going to call it this. And he's like, all right. Don't worry, guys. It's like that for everybody. Everybody who's ever been married, bro. Happy wife, happy life. I'm telling you. Let's get out here. We're going to grab a little bit of our odorless mineral spirits onto our dark, and into our dark paint, and then put it onto our palette tool, right? Now I'm going to get real close like. There we go. You can see how wet it is? It's almost like watercolor. Very wet, very crazy. Look at that scene, though. Now let's come down here and test it. And that way we'll know exactly how much is going to flick out. Because if I've got too much on the brush or too much on my palette tool, then we're going to launch off enormous specks. And we don't necessarily need enormous specks, okay? A lot of times when it's too big, that's because you have too much liquidicity in your brush. And so you need to go back in and wipe the brush off versus going and getting more liquid or odorless mineral spirits. You want them to be fine. You need it to be a very fine amount of spirits and a fine amount of paint. on the edge of this fine blade. And then we're gonna come out here, and the further away you are, the finer specks we get, right? So we've launched our first color in being black. Then we're gonna go to brown. And again, we dip into our odorless mineral spirits. Not enough, I don't wanna see, this is why we wear gloves all the time. Why are we wearing one? Has anyone asked that? Why is Josh just wearing one glove in both the shows tonight? Do you wanna know the reason why? It's kind of embarrassing. I only had one pair of gloves left and I didn't have time. Okay, I had all the time in the world. I was too lazy to go to Lowe's. And so I was like, if I just put it on the one hand that I'm cleaning brushes with, maybe no one else will know. Did you guys, have you seen it? Did you figure me out? Did you figure me out? So we're gonna have a little bit of our odorless mineral spirits again. The brush does not need to be soaking wet. Just a little bit out there, right? Cool little bit. A bit of wetness out there. You can see how wet it is that what we normally paint with. My goodness, right? My goodness. Now we'll come out here, again, test it somewhere off your canvas so you know how hard to flick, so you know how many you're gonna come out, right? And just launch a little in there. And you can see there's about double the amount of black specks in there now. Well, black and brown. Now we're gonna come in and wipe our brush off and we got one color left. Do you know which color we're gonna use for the last bit? What would you use, right? If it was you and you were painting the scene, what would you do? What was the last color you would use? White? I like it. Waikiki. Oh, that's funny. White, white, white. Gold would be cool. I've done yellow ochre before, which is basically gold paint, but it ends up getting lost by the time you put in the white specks anyway. So we're gonna come in here with our liquid white, right? The very liquidy stuff. Again, test it in a undisclosed area that's not our canvas. If you get any amount of specks or sprays in your watery area, leave them. It looks like little pebbles out there. It's totally fine. Okay, here we go. All right, the closer we are, the more it's going to flick off in a really tight pattern. The further away we are, the more it's going to be sparse. Okay, now the more little white flicks that you flick onto this painting, the more and more and more it's gonna look like sand. Look how we're still going, still going. There's gotta be 10,000 little specks of white on this guy already, and we're still going, even into the watery retraction area. Make it look like bubbles. Look at that. Isn't that amazing? Isn't that quite honestly amazing? Literally. Thanks, Christine, I appreciate you. Bob was actually my grandpa's cousin, believe it or not. Believe it or believe it not. Quite on, it looks like we threw sand at the canvas, doesn't it? Just doesn't it? It's just fantastic. Okay, let's get our liquid white out here again. We're gonna come onto the edge and we're gonna throw in just a few back there, few over here. This guy's gonna get the majority of these specks. And as we come in and speckle him, we're gonna again do more over here because we can see more things. It's closer, we can have more little details and little watery bits in that dark area, and less further away. Maybe zero way the heck back there, unless maybe it was just so gigantically humongous that you got to see something, okay? It's all up to you guys every time. Now you gotta start coming up with a title for this piece, okay? One final theme that you may have thought I forgot. We gotta come in here and shrink down our darkness. Little dark separator right here, right? It's very big out there because we had to leave enough room for our brush to get underneath it, right? But if we come in here and we start scraping, we get down lower and lower and lower without touching the two bits of white paint together, just leaving a smaller line out there, right? And we'll come over here, we'll scrape it down again, shrinking it, shrinking it, shrinking it, shrinking it. Little shrinkage out there on the ocean. It happens. Have you ever been in the ocean? It's cold. Out there, over here, down like that, right? So you got that little bit of dark shadow underneath like your inch of water. This is just foam out on the thing. There's no depth to it. It's just, and then pulled back. Isn't that amazing, you guys? So start coming up with a title for it. Let me know what your title's gonna be. A couple more on this little guy. Bang, bang, boom. I like it, guys. I'm liking it. I'm liking it. You can't tell me it ain't the dopest little Kate disappointment painting you've ever seen. Very cool, you guys. Now, just for, because we got a light area back here, I'm just gonna put a little bit more brightness. And this one spot might look like a bead of sun. It's like, bink, just right down into that spot over there. So, very cool, guys. You start coming up with a title. I'm gonna wash off the brushes, And then we're gonna throw in the old signature and dudes and dudettes. That's cool. I like it. Okay, we're gonna wash these guys off, come up with a title, and then Schlinst is gonna pick that title. I'm getting better at saying the screen name now. She's gonna pick a title that fits or works for her and her husband who got this painting. And it's gonna be fantastic, you guys. Oh, I love it. There we go. Okay, so we got 2 more brushes to clean, and then we're gonna need a title. So, I mean, take your time, but not too much time. Yes, dudes, that is frickin' rad. Friggin' rad, brah. Bras. That is cool. Cool beans. There we go. Now, because in the reference photo, there's a little touch of green on our trees out here. I don't want to do too much, right? Especially because they're very far away. This guy, let's just get a little tap on him. This guy, we're gonna go a little bit more just on his one side. I'm not showing too much, right? You show too much out there, you're gonna regret it. Right, over here, we're gonna get a little bit bigger. Tap on, a couple more little brighter areas. Not the whole thing. Doesn't all need to be so bright, but just that little touch of green with our shadow on the backside. Gonna look really cool. It just adds one more little thing. Even on this bigger guy up here, maybe pop in just a couple little tip taps. You gotta look hard and find them though. You gotta look hard out there. Very, very nice. Remember, these guys are all background stuff. We don't need them to be big. We don't need them to be bright. They're further away in the distance. And then we got the Schleithaus out there as well, kind of in the mist, just on the other end of this little lip. It goes up, it goes over, and the only way to leave it back there without having it look too close is to leave it misty like that. At least for me. That's how I would paint it in order for it to look correct and not get too wildly nuts. Man! Ooh. Gosh, I like it so much. So much, you guys. Seriously, if we were just to put, there we go. One, I'm talking about the smallest indication of something. Right there. That way, right, it stays in the distance. Now it's a little bit more noticeable that it's there, okay? Little bit more noticeable that it's there. I just don't want to go, like, if we get too crazy on it, too crazy detailed, it's just gonna make it just too big, you know what I mean? But now that I'm doing it, now that I've done one thing, I'm gonna come in here and actually throw it down. Look, we're gonna give you the stripes across it. How about that? A couple little stripies over there. Little top, little top. Very small, very far away. There. Chad. Perfect. That's what I'm saying, dude. Little amount of paint. Don't try to put on too much. You can get away with a little amount of paint. Just enough to see him out there. And if you look closely enough, you can even see his little stripes. I'm gonna make him darker right here. The darker I make it, the more close he becomes. So we're deciding as we go. He's got the back of his house back there. Doesn't need much detail. If we make it too big or too bright, you'll really be able to tell, right? Golly. Schlinst, you guys are lucky. Normally, I try not to do too many details in a lighthouse painting like this because it detracts from the foreground by having too many things out there. But yeah. Oh yeah. Oh, I like that. Okay, let's get out here. We're gonna launch in the old caw-caw. Just a little flying bird out there on the coast, flying in to see what's happening around the old lighthouse. Right? We'll come down here, get a little bit of our liquid white. We're gonna throw it way off in the distance back here. Just like that, guys. So, Schlitz, you guys got to come up with a title for this one. Came out stellarly amazing, if you ask me. I love it. Pinky Beach. Like we're straight up in Hawaii, bro. I love it. I love it. Boom, boom. We're gonna know this one was painted on 9/21/2021. We're all gonna go to Paint with Josh, of course. And then you gotta put the Diat, and then you gotta put the Chiam at the end over there, right?